Hi my lovely spectators, Dee Dee here, and welcome to my studio. So today I'm doing another 3 under 30, and I'm going to show you how to make this 3 different times, so 3 little projects, because you can basically do this with any size paper. It is another inspiration idea that I took from Patricia over at La Cafe Craft, and I thought it was really clever. She also found it from somebody else. I don't know the name of that person, but you know, we all borrow from each other. We all take the inspiration. We all try to make it our own. So with today's project video for 30 minutes, I want to try to show you the item, which I have one here. It's just a sample. It's not even really decorated, but I want to show you what it does. And try to explain to you how to make this with like any size paper, so that you don't have to kill yourself in trying to figure out how to do this. I've picked a few papers. I have them prepped. I also have some of these prepped as well. So you open it like a little booklet. So this is perfect for journaling. And then you have the back. And then you say, oh, I can open it this way, right? And this kind of feels very familiar to a lot of people, right? So you're like, oh, so what's the big deal? Right? It's an accordion style fold. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels, and basically this is the thing that tripped my mind, was that you can open this up for even more loveliness, journaling, decoration, whatever. You could use them as temporary pockets. It's a whole thing. So I'm gonna bust up my clock, and I'm trying to do this beforehand because I know the beeping might bother some people. Okay, my 30 minutes are here, and we're going to go over how to do this. So again, let's just start it, because this should be part of it. So we want to tuck ephemera, we want to tuck things in that we have decorated into our junk journals. And so you have this little, looks like a little tag. You really cannot put a hole in here. I mean, I guess you could in a tie, and then you can open it, but the idea is that it opens up like a little booklet, so you can decorate. You know, you can have patterned paper, you can have a digital, whatever the case is. This is done with a regular copy paper, which is not suggested because you can hardly score that. It's ridiculous. Then when you turn it over, you have additional sides to decorate. And then the fun part is that you can actually open this up like that. Okay, so you're gonna know that I have an arrow over here because, you know, if you have directionality, you want to make sure that you are putting them up the same way. So how do we get to make this cute little expandable, openable booklet type thingies? Well, I have it all laid out here, and I'm gonna show you this right now. You can kind of like take a picture if you want, and then I will go through each one. I brought out a few different pieces of paper that we can use, and I already cut the fronts because it's not, you know, that's not the major thing. The major thing is getting these papers cut down. So this could be a book page, a big atlas page. So I have regular copy. Actually, it's an extra digital of this. So I'm just gonna score it on this side, etc. This is a piece of 65 pound, I think, weight. Big paper. It's 11 by 14, and then I have some 65 pound weight cardstock, 12 by 12, like a scrapbook paper. Okay, so the idea for this little booklet is that you need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. In order to get 5 sections, you want to fold 5 times. You need to do some math, right? So in an 8.5 by 11, you know, you don't necessarily, this is probably the easiest one, because you'll say to yourself, oh, 8.5 by 11, then you know what, I'm just going to go by 2s. So I'm going to cut off an inch. And that's true. That's the most simplest one of them all. So I'm going to bring out my trimmer, and we're going to do it together, and we're going to see that that is the case, right? So I am not worrying about my height. I'm worried about the width. The height is going to be anything that you want, right? Provided it could fit into your, you know, paper that could fit into your trimmer, maybe even go up to 12, and then you can, you know, fold it down the middle. It's the 10, the 5 panels that you have to kind of worry about. So we're going to take this. So we say 11 divided by 5 is, 2.2. The 0.2 is, we don't want to play with that. So we're just going to go to 2. So 2 times the 5 gives you the 10. So that means that we need to cut this paper down to 10. So I know it's 11. I'm going to cut off an inch over here on this side. Okay, so I'm cutting off an inch. It's gone. Now, we're going to, the rest of this is just to score. This mark over here is my 2 inch, right? So I'm going to score 2 inches here. Okay, I'm going to bring my score line to my 2 inch over here again. 2 inches. Okay, and I'm going to do it again. 2 inches. And I'm going to do it again for another 2 inches. Okay, so you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, when you have your scoreboard and it's better, the flat one, I think that's a much better scoreboard to use for these kind of things that involve heavy scoring. So there might be a little bit of tweaking that needs to be done here, but you're getting the idea, because the idea will work with precision if you have the right tools. Having this as the only tool, things can get a little wonky. All right, so this was 8.5 by 11. So we cut the 11 down to 10. We did our 2 inch, 2 inch, 2 inch, 2 inch. So we have 10 for 5 different panels. And now the 8.5 we know is basically in half is going to be 4 1/4. So we're just going to do a score at 4 1/4. Okay, so this guy is done. And so what we're going to do is you will need to cut a piece that fits here, right? So we already know that this is going to be, or this is rather, 2 inches by 4 1/4. Okay, so 2 inches this way, 4 1/4 that way to the score line, right? And then you're going to need a panel. You're going to need 2, one for the front and one for the back. So you have a front and you have a back. Okay, so we're going to enforce our scores. So I'm going to do my scores in accordion, right? I want to train the paper to do what I want it to do. Okay, and so that it will be easy to open, it won't give us resistance, it will lay flat, and all of that good stuff. Okay, so I'm going to then do it the other way as well, just because I want to make the edges be nice and smooth and easygoing. Okay, and there we go. Then I'm going to do the same thing for the center line. Okay, it's the center line. So this is my photo paper that I use. I also pressed a little too hard scoring on this one, so I kind of want to think about that. Okay, so now if you have single-sided or double-sided paper, you're gonna have to kind of play with it to see where you want the cards to be. So if I want this to be on the outside, right, and I want to see this when I open up, then fine. Then your surprise is on the inside here. Okay, if I want the surprise to be on the inside there, then that's what I'm going to do. Now we need to attach the cards that go to the closure. So we're going to, again, you've already trained it one way, we're going to train it the other way. So now we have it folded, and we're going to do our scoring, and we're going to reinforce that. Okay, so now you have your little booklet that opens up, right, and then this will flip over and so forth. So you have a front and you have a back. Okay, so you need to attach them. So once you have this laid out like this, so see, I'm a little off of my scoring, and if this were to bother you, we could fix it either by the scoring being more perfect, or cutting it and trimming it. You're going to put a cover in front. So let me grab the cover. So all I did was cut a 2 by 4 1/4, right? So once I decide that this is going to be my front, I'm going to put, okay, here's my front. I'm going to take it, turn it over, and this is my back. Okay, and then I want to just show you where they wind up being. So they wind up being like this. Okay, so one will be over here and one will be over there. One here, one there. Notice that the B is still the correct way, so that the top would go that way. But the F is upside down, and that is because we have to turn it around so that when we fold it in half, it'll be everything. If it's directional paper, definitely for sure, for sure. Okay, so we're going to glue that. I'm going to glue my front down here. Okay. And I'm going to get that into that thing, so we don't want to block any of the score lines. We want to line it up with the corner. Okay, let that set up. And then this one being my back. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a bunch of glue and get that in there nice. Of course, you do a better job at gluing it because, you know, it would probably be an official thing that you're going to use. Okay, and so, again, I want to get that into the corner. Nice. Let that adhere. Okay, and then once that's done, we can fold it back up. So, fold it back up. Okay, and go like this. And there you go. You have your little booklet. There's your top. This is the, now if you wanted to make it a little bigger and make the inside be a little offset, you can make it a little bigger and make the outside, this be a little bit in from the edges. That's up to you. You have there, you could decorate. Here you can decorate. That's your back. You can decorate, 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 back to your front. And then, surprise, surprise, you open it up and you have this inside. And then you have more journaling or more decorating possibilities. So that is number one. So standard 8.5 by 11. Okay. Again, went over this, right? You just need to take your length, which is usually your longest one, divide it by 5 because you need 5 sections. Figure out what that number is and get your what they call the friendliest number. So if it's 2.2, 2 is probably the easiest. 2 times the 5 means you cut the 11 down to 10. Okay? Then you're just going to score down the middle. So whatever the middle is for that height. So in this case, we're going to have 4 1/4, right? By 2 is going to be the card, and you're going to need 2 of them. Okay? Now let's do a different sized piece of paper. Okay? Let's do a 12 by 12. Okay? 12 by 12. Okay? So we're going to look at this one now. This is over here. If I look at a 12 by 12 and I divide it by 5, 12 by 5, it's 2.4. It's not quite 2.5, so I would make my life easy, right? And I would bring it down to 2.25 or 2 1/4. 2 1/4 times the 5 is going to give me 11 1/4. So I want to cut down my length to 11 1/4. Okay? So we're going to do that. We're going to bring the scoreboard back in. And since the scrapbook paper is 12, and I need to cut it down to 11 1/4, I need to cut off 3/4. Okay, so over here is where I have my measurements. I'm going to use this side, so I know my 1 is right here, right? My 1 is right here. I'm going to go up to this line where my 3/4 is, and I'm going to cut this away. Okay. Now I'm going to score, and then we'll be able to make our little book. Okay, so we will score at what we said, which was 2 1/4. So in this case, because this doesn't go past 2 1/4, I gotta do some fancy movements over here. Can you see? Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna go over here and look at 2 1/4, right, which is this line right here, 2 1/4. Okay, 2 1/4. So I'm gonna make sure that my scrapbook paper is there. So I want to try to get it straight, and I'm gonna score 1. I'm gonna bring it down. Now, if you want to add the 2 1/4, you can try doing that. But I usually will just look at my score line and line it up with the 2 1/4 one more time, and then scroll it over, and then again 2 1/4. Line it up, 2 1/4. And then we're going to line it up one more time because you need to do 4 scores to get 5 sections. And we're going to line that up there. And we're going to get 2 1/4. Okay. So you see those lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, we get 5 sections. Now before we move the scoreboard away, we're going to turn it. So now we're on the 12 side that we didn't cut down, and we're going to score it at 6. Okay, because we're going to score it in half. Okay. All right, so now this is what's going to make the card. Let's go back to that. Again, we are cutting this down to 11 and 1/4, so we cut off 3/4. We scored 4 times at 2.25 or 2 1/4 to get our 5 sections, and then we scored down the middle. We're going to do all the reinforcing of the foldings. We will need a 6, right, because we cut it half, 6 by 2 1/4 card for the front and for the back. So you will need 2 of them. If you want to go a little bigger and have this little inset, that's your prerogative, that's your choice. Let's get this one folded. So I'm going to just start with the middle, because why not? Okay. If it didn't get right, because like I said, I'm using this trimmer, and it's a little bit, I feel like I'm a little off with this. So let me, and also your scrapbook paper could be off from the manufacturer. So you kind of want to give yourself some grace when you are doing this, so that you don't stress out. This is never supposed to be about stressing out. And that's why, you know, if I can give you some measurements or way of thinking to help you guys out, because, you know, that's good. I like to fly by the seat of my pants sometimes, but I also like to have, you know, direct instructions and really know what I'm supposed to do, and that's helpful as well until you get used to it, and then you can go rogue. Okay, so I've got the middle all nicely as well, it should be 6. Okay, and now I'm going to do the same thing with the scores from the 2, right? So I'm going to do the 2 and 1/4. I'm going to do the accordion, 2 and 1/4. Okay. I'm going to do the next one, 2 and 1/4. Again, reinforcing multiple times, 2 and 1/4. Okay. And yeah, so it's a little off, but that's okay. I told you that my scoring on the scoreboard is a little bit wonky. Okay. So you have that. Okay. You can just go to the other side just to loosen up the paper, right? So I'm going to fold it the other way. So I just folded it the other way, right? So like now it wants to bounce. So I'm going to now tell it, nope, stay flat. Okay. Okay. So now that everybody is been told what to do, we're going to bring the 2 sides together. Remember, the opening is on the top. Okay. And we're going to do the accordion like this. Again, you're going to get a little bit of resistance. That's when you, once again, train your paper so that way it is adhering. Okay, and when you do it, okay, you want the turn it the other side, right? Sorry, just okay. It's a little thicker, so it's kind of like giving you a little bit more resistance, but that's okay. So when you have it, you want to have the 2 that open up to you as your front. Then you have that, and then this is the back, and then you turn it over to have the back panels, right? So again, you can put a little F and a little arrow that's where the top of your directional paper would go, right? Open it where the opening is. Turn the entire thing over, put my little B. Put my little arrow to where the top. Then I can open it up and I can place my cards. So these cards are going to be slightly bigger, right? Where is it? They're going to be tall and wide. So here, like, so for example, this is my card, 2 1/4 by 6. This is my top, pretending that it's directional. So I would put it this way. And then with this one, my top, I would put it down here. Okay, so we're going to glue those in so you can see. Okay, again, I'm just doing a quick gluing because this is just prototyping it for you guys and showing you how easily you could take this idea and apply it to a couple different types of paper sizes, right? So Got this one down. Now, I have this little gap, if anybody's noticing that. Remember, again, my paper was not scoring. I need to get a regular scoreboard to really make sure that things work out. And that I just dropped my pen. Okay, we'll figure it out. I turned it around, but I'm still paying attention to my arrow. I'm putting my glue. I'm just doing it a little different. Everybody does their stuff differently. So, and then I'm paying attention to my arrow and where my top is for my directionality. Now, of course, if there's no directionality, it doesn't really matter. Okay. So now, once it's glued, we fold it back. This is our front. And there we have our little journal booklet with a twist, right? Decorate, decorate, turn it over, decorate, decorate, and then surprise, more space for journaling. So this can be put into a pocket, sent as Happy Mail, and we've got 2 down, right? So we've done on an 8.5 by 11, and we've done on a 12 by 12. So our usual go-to standard kind of measurements. Okay, last one up is going to be another piece of paper that I have from a sketch pad. And this guy is 11 tall by 14 wide. So let's take a look at those measurements right here. 11 by 14. Okay, so we've got the 11 is going to be the height. So this is going to be what we're going to cut down in, the middle. No, we're not going to play with the 11, but we're going to look at 14. So 14 divided by the 5 gives you 2.8. Okay, the friendliest number there, of course you can't go larger, you have to go smaller, would be 2.75. That times 5 gives you 13 3/4. So we need to just cut off 1/4 of an inch. Okay, that's all we need to cut off. A very thin, So let's see. So this was, we had to cut off an inch. This one we had to cut off 3/4 of an inch. And this one we are cutting off 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so we're going to do this one next. So you can see that if you have any paper length, this is all the process. This is your formula, right? That's all you need to do. I know, it was coming from me, the math teacher, saying it's simple, simple. And I'm not trying to make anyone feel any kind of way. But I'm breaking it down, and I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying following along and thinking of another way to think about things. So let's take our paper. This paper is 14. I just need to cut off 1/4 of an inch. For me, that 1/4 of an inch is the first little line past this cut. So I'm going to go up to here. And I'm going to get rid of that 1/4 of an inch. Now, some people may say this doesn't really matter, just whatever. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't. But for some people who like precision, this is going to throw things off, right? Just like me with this scoreboard is not scoreboarding for me the way that I would like. It's throwing things off. But I'm dealing with it because I'm dealing with a prototype. And I'm trying to show you the process. Okay? So we have to score at 2 3/4. So again, I'm going to go to 2 3/4 is right here. You can see that in the middle up here. And I'm going to score. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it over, and I'm going to use that score line for me, right? And I'm going to do 2 3/4. Okay. So you'd have to add your fractions, I guess, at another point. 2 3/4. Okay. And then again, moving over and getting another score of 2 3/4. Okay, so I'm done. So let's look. We've got 2 3/4 each time. And you would now need to score down the middle, which this guy was 11. Now it's a little bit longer than 12, so I'm gonna fold up one of the score lines like that, right? Because it's gonna do that anyway. And then my 11 needs to be scored, not cut, at 5.5. So I'm gonna do that and press hard enough that it'll go through this double layer of paper. Okay, and now, oops, we are ready to fold this guy up and see this created. Okay, so again, we have a whole a score line here, so we're going to do all the scoring. So I'm going to fold up the middle first. Okay, and I'm going to make sure that that's nice and scored and nice and burnished, right? And then I'm going to do it the other way, right? Because if we make them know the fold where it has to go, we can get rid of some of that rigidity. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing with the 2 3/4, right? I'm going to keep folding all of them at one time. And then I know I keep coming off the screen because I'm pulling it against myself to make the fold. And then I'm going to press down on both sides. Okay. Then I'm going to do it again. So I'm going to flip it this way, fold that, flip it this way, and fold against the score that I just reinforced. Okay, so we have it's popping up, but we're going to say nope. You got to stay down. Okay. So now everybody has been folded in both directions. So now we're going to fold it in half again. The front needs to be where the opening is. So I'm going to fold it here. That's my front. Fold it into the accordion shape like that. Okay. Okay. So my front again has to be where the open is. So then I'm going to take it again and be like, okay, let's learn our folds. And this is how we're supposed to be. Okay, it's a little thick. Fold on both sides. And so there may be some popping. And when you start decorating, there's probably going to be some popping, but that's okay. So again, my fold where the front is the open one. So I'm going to put my little F here. And my arrow to remind me for directionality. I'm going to turn it over completely. Put my B for back. And where the top is for directionality. Okay, you then open it up and glue it like we've been doing. Or say you have it like this, I'm going to take my piece and I could just glue it right here without even opening it again, because I could then make sure that it lines up. So that may be something, you know, maybe you mark it, you don't open it, then you go cut your pieces. And now I'm going to bring my piece over here and I'm going to line it up with my front. Okay. And again, mine's a little off because, and I think on retrospect, I probably would make it a little bit wider or bigger, so that some of this wouldn't be visible when you first look at it. I'm gonna turn it over. I'm gonna add the glue. Okay, and then I'm going to put this guy on, right? Well, you know, it's that I'm gonna just put this way. No, I'm not put it this way. I'm supposed to be showing. So then again, the top is facing top, 2 and 7.75, 5.5, and then we're gonna make sure it's nice and glued, centered, and there we go. We've got another one. So again, open, decoration or whatever, decoration. Here's your back, open. It's like one of those never-ending open, but then it doesn't. You can actually even open it this way. You have plenty of space. So whatever paper you choose to use, you could then mat some of these areas. If you wanted to use book pages, like a beautiful atlas map, and one side has one map and the other side has like informational, you could cover the other side with other pieces of paper. But here we go. So we've been able to do 3 different pieces of paper, 3 different sizes with the same exact process, right? Dividing by your 5, getting your number, figuring out how much you have to cut off, and then dividing the other direction by half. And then it's about reinforcing. So we can create a bunch of different size ones. This is from 8.5 by 11 paper. This is from a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. And this was from an 11 by 14 sheet of paper. And you've got 3 very different ones. I mean, you could probably go smaller than this if you wanted to. I don't think that you would. I think 11 by 12, 8.5 by 11 paper, excuse me, gives you a nice decent size. I like the 12 by 12, and I even like this. I think they all work for any kind of journal. You could even put these behind a belly band. Maybe not the cardstock. This is kind of thick. But these guys are much thinner. They're not as heavy. So this might be 65. This might be like in the 40s. 48. Is that one of the common cardstocks weights? But here you go. You got your 3 inserts, booklets, open, surprise, and there you go, in the different sizes. So take this formula with you and go and create something crazy, beautiful. I don't know, something nice. I'm sure you guys will. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and what do you call it? You know, go and look at some other people for inspiration. Like I've been getting inspiration from, of course, the ladies hosting the collab. You know, Margaret and Tony, but you know, Patricia and Sophie and Daisy and everybody's just like so many things. So many, you know, Gail. They're all out there waiting for you to discover, and yeah, it's great. It's great. It's a great community. Anyway, until next time. Well, next time you'll know them next time by subscribing. I almost forgot, right? We gotta do the street. You gotta do the whole usual thing. Subscribe, like, you know, notification and all that. Until next time, I'll see you later. Ciao, ciao. Bye.